So I've been sitting on this story for a while, and honestly, I still can't believe this happened to me. Remember those red flags we all ignore when we're head over heels? Yeah, mine came with their own marching band, and I still missed them. Met Zach at a Cubs game 3 years ago. He was charming, funny, and seemed to have his life together, or so I thought. He worked as a bartender at this trendy spot in Wicker Park and would always talk about how he wanted to open his own place someday. I thought it was cute, you know, someone with ambition and dreams. Fast forward a year into our relationship. I'd been saving for grad school since forever, working doubles at Starbucks, tutoring rich kids from the North Shore, even dog walking in the winter when it was negative a million degrees. I had nearly $20,000 stashed away, and Northwestern was starting to look like a real possibility instead of just a pipe dream. Then Zach came to me with this amazing opportunity. A spot had opened up in River North, prime location, and he'd found investors willing to back him, but he needed another $20K to secure the lease. He promised I'd get my money back with interest once the place was up and running. "You'll be part owner, babe," he said. "Think about it. You can finish school and have passive income from the bar." I know what you're thinking. How could I be so stupid, right? But you guys, he showed me paperwork. He introduced me to his business partner, Ryan. They had mock-ups of the menu, the logo, even freaking cocktail napkins with the bar's name on them, the lock and key. I was convinced this was legit, so I handed over my savings. All of it, every single penny I'd been scraping together while eating ramen and working myself to the bone. For the next couple of months, Zach was always at meetings or checking on construction. I was picking up extra shifts, so I didn't have time to swing by the location. Plus, he kept saying he wanted it to be a surprise when I finally saw it. Then I noticed his Instagram stories. He was posting from clubs I'd never heard of, hanging out with people I didn't know. When I asked about it, he'd say they were networking events or research for the bar. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. The wake-up call came when my friend Jess texted me a photo. "Isn't this your boyfriend?" It was Zach at Lollapalooza, which he told me he couldn't afford tickets for, with his arm around some blonde. They were in the VIP section drinking champagne, with my money. I confronted him that night, and the whole house of cards came tumbling down. There was no bar, no investors, no business partner. Ryan was just his buddy playing along. Zach had spent my money taking this girl, Amber, on lavish dates, buying designer clothes and partying like he was Drake or something. I was devastated. Like crying on the bathroom floor, can't breathe, devastated. 20 grand gone, and with it, my dreams of Northwestern. When I calmed down enough to think straight, I called my older sister, who's a paralegal. She connected me with a lawyer who agreed to take my case pro bono because, in his words, "This guy is a walking definition of fraud." We took Zach to small claims court. The judge ruled in my favor immediately. Zach had to pay back every cent, plus interest. But here's the kicker. He'd already blown through all the money. He couldn't pay me back because he was flat broke. The court garnished his wages, but he lost his bartending job when his boss found out what happened. Apparently, he'd been skimming from the register there too. His roommates kicked him out when he couldn't make rent. And Amber? She ghosted him faster than you can say gold digger once the free champagne dried up. A week after the court hearing, guess who showed up at my door? Yep, Zach, unshaven, wearing the same clothes he had on in court, asking if I could loan him $500 for a deposit on a room. The audacity. I told him he'd have better luck sleeping on a bench at Millennium Park and closed the door in his face. That was 6 months ago. I had to defer my grad school plans and pick up a third job at this indie coffee shop in Evanston. My apartment is the size of a shoebox, and I'm still trying to rebuild my savings, but I'm getting there. Updated. You guys, the response to my first post was insane. Thanks for all the support and advice. It really helped me feel less alone in this whole mess. A bunch of you asked for updates, so here we go. After I slammed the door in Zach's face that day, I figured that would be the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. This man has the persistence of a Chicago parking ticket, unwanted and impossible to shake off. About 2 weeks after the doorstep incident, I was working my morning shift at Starbucks when guess who walks in? Zach, looking slightly less homeless, but still giving off major "I've been sleeping in my car" vibes. At first I thought it was just a horrible coincidence, but nope, he knew my schedule. He ordered the most complicated frappuccino possible, like a true jerk, and then tried to chat me up like we were old friends catching up. "So Ellie, I've been thinking about our situation," he started. I cut him off right there. "Our situation? There is no hour anymore. Your total is 745. My manager, Lisa, noticed something was off and came over. Zach lowered his voice and said, "I just need another chance. I've changed. Y'all, I almost threw his frap in his face, but I need this job." Instead, I smiled my best customer service smile and said, "Sir, you're holding up the line. Please pay or step aside." He left, but not before saying, "I'll make this right, I promise." Spoiler alert, he did not make it right. The next week, I received a series of Venmo payments from him, $25 here, $10 there, with notes like, "Starting to pay you back," and "See, I'm trying." By the end of the month, he'd sent a whopping $87, only 19 now, so 13 years to go. At this rate, I'd have my money back in approximately 38 years. Meanwhile, I was still hustling like crazy. The coffee shop job in Evanston turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The owner, Maria, is this amazing woman who escaped corporate America to open her dream cafe, The Grind. She took me under her wing, taught me about single-origin beans, and eventually promoted me to shift supervisor with a decent pay bump. But the real breakthrough came in March. I was serving this middle-aged woman who came in every Wednesday with her laptop. We'd chat while I made her complicated oat milk latte, and one day she asked what I was doing besides making coffee. I told her about my deferred dreams of Northwestern and my degree in communications. Turns out she's a professor in Northwestern's School of Communication. She mentioned they had a scholarship opening up for their master's program, specifically for students with financial hardship and compelling personal narratives. She thought I should apply. I spent 2 weeks perfecting my application, pouring my heart out about what happened with Zach, keeping it professional, obviously. I included recommendations from my undergrad professors and even one from Maria, who wrote about my work ethic and resilience. 3 weeks later, I got the email. I'd received a partial scholarship. It wouldn't cover everything, but combined with federal aid and my savings, what I'd managed to rebuild, Northwestern was back on the table. The day I got that email, I ran into Ryan, Zach's fake business partner, at Target. Unlike Zach, he actually looked ashamed when he saw me. "Ellie, I'm really sorry about everything," he said, studying his shoes. "I should have told you what was really going on." "Yeah, you should have," I replied, throwing a pack of ramen noodles into my cart, still on that budget life. Ryan explained that he thought Zach was just talking big at first, but then realized he was actually scamming me. By then, he felt in too deep. "For what it's worth," he added, "Zach's hit rock bottom, he's sleeping on couches, and no bar in Chicago will hire him." I wasn't exactly crying tears of sympathy, but I asked what Zach was doing for money. "He's working at the Reservoir," Ryan said, naming a dive bar in Logan Square, "cleaning bathrooms and mopping floors. The irony is the owner's actually expanding and opening a second location, the kind of place Zach always dreamed about." The universe has a sense of humor, doesn't it? Fast forward to today. I'm 1 month into my first semester at Northwestern, studying corporate communications with a focus on digital media. It's intense, but after everything that's happened, schoolwork seems easy in comparison. The grind has been flexible with my schedule, and Maria even hinted that once I graduate, there might be a marketing position for me. My tiny apartment is still tiny, but I've made it cozy, and it's mine. No freeloading scammers allowed. As for Zach? Last I heard from mutual friends, he's still at the Reservoir. The owner lets him sleep in the storage room some nights when he has nowhere else to go. Amber's Instagram shows she's moved on to some crypto bro with a Tesla, and Zach's social media has gone dark, probably for the best. Oh, and those Venmo payments? They stopped after he sent a total of $143.50. He included a final note saying, "This is all I can do right now. I hope someday you can forgive me." I didn't respond, but I did something even better. I took that $143.50 and opened a special savings account I'm calling my Karma Fund. Every time something good happens in my life now, I add a small amount to it. When it reaches a decent size, I'm going to donate it to a nonprofit that helps victims of financial fraud, turning his pathetic attempt at redemption into something that might actually help people feels right. Last week, I was grabbing coffee with my study group near campus when I looked up and saw a guy who looked eerily like Zach walking past the window. For a split second, my heart raced, that old fight-or-flight response kicking in. But then I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't even angry. I just felt nothing. And that's when I knew I was finally moving on. Northwestern may have been delayed, but I'm here now, and my future is looking brighter than any neon sign Zach could have hung in his imaginary bar. The lock and key never opened, but I've unlocked something far more valuable, my freedom from someone who never deserved me in the first place. And that, my friends, is worth way more than $20,000 updated. So I'm sitting in the grind right now, taking a study break to write this final update because you guys have been so supportive through this whole saga, and I couldn't leave you hanging. Remember how I said the universe has a sense of humor? Well, it just delivered the punchline. Yesterday, I was rushing to my advanced media ethics class when I literally collided with someone outside the library. Coffee went flying, papers scattered everywhere. Total rom-com moment minus the romance. As I was scrambling to save my laptop from the coffee tsunami, I looked up to see who I'd crashed into. It was Zach. Turns out he wasn't stalking me, for once. He was on campus delivering catering for some alumni event. He's working for a food service company now, a step up from mopping floors, I guess. For a moment, we just stared at each other. He looked different. Thinner, older somehow, wearing a uniform with a company logo. No designer clothes, no swagger. "Ellie," he said like he couldn't believe it. "You made it to Northwestern." I nodded, clutching my dripping papers. I did. He helped me gather my things, and then said something I never expected. "I'm proud of you." Not "I'm sorry," or "I've changed," or any of the lines I'd rehearsed responses to in my head. Just pride, for me. From the guy who nearly destroyed everything I'd worked for. I didn't know what to say, so I just thanked him and started to walk away. Then he called after me. "Hey, Ellie, that bar you invested in, it's real now." I turned back, confused. The Reservoir's second location. It's called the Lock and Key. Owner liked the name when I mentioned it. It opens next month in River North, exactly where I said it would be. With that bombshell dropped, he gave a small wave and continued pushing, his catering cart toward whatever event he was working. I stood there, frozen, late for class but unable to move. My dream, his dream, our dream. It exists, just not for us, not together. And you know what? That's perfectly fine with me. Some dreams aren't meant to be shared. Some journeys are solo trips. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and so is he.